Meta's Twitter competitor Threads has been launched into the European Union, according to an announcement by Mark Zuckerberg. Initially introduced in the US and over 100 other countries in July, Threads is now available to 448 million people in the EU. To coincide with the EU launch, Meta is allowing users in the region to browse Threads without needing a profile, although posting or interacting with content will still require an Instagram account. The delay in launching in the EU countries has been attributed to compliance complexities with the Digital Markets Act. So we actually shared a poll a few weeks ago on our LinkedIn and Instagram asking people whether or not they even use Threads. Do they use it regularly? Do they even know what Threads is? And close to 75% of people that responded don't use Threads. And there was a decent chunk, I think about 15%, that have no idea what Threads even is. So in saying that, despite the fact that it's now launched in a larger portion of the world, moving forward, what do you think Threads needs to do to gain some ground when it comes to social media? What are some things that we think Threads may or may not do when it comes to potentially gaining ground? Because originally it was brought out as, they called it the Twitter killer. It definitely hasn't done that. What does it need to do to stay relevant with people?
Nobody needs to be a Twitter killer. It's trying to kill itself.
True. Very true. Yeah. What do you think, Duncan? What do you think about Threads? I know you don't have a lot of experience with Threads, but from the Tater's view, the 19 million mile view, what do you think about what Threads could possibly do to be relevant?
Well, look, I mean, Google has done a really good job of monetizing the platforms that it has that are for kind of the general public. Obviously, they have the business side of things as well. Meta has done that a little bit. I mean, you've seen them buy WhatsApp. Now they've created Threads. Now, I suspect that there is a lot of data passing happening between, Instagram and Facebook, because that's what you can advertise on. Since Threads is a social media app and WhatsApp is a little bit different, I suspect there's a lot of data harvesting in general, which is why they've struggled to get approval in the EU. So, I mean, if Google can do it and they have this sort of network of sites that they can pull data from to show you ads, I gotta see Threads finding or really researching a way to get ads on that platform. And frankly, it may actually help them out, bring in some businesses that want to talk to people, but it may also just ruin the experience. So I think it needs to be done thoughtfully. It needs to be done well. But I really think, their game is really, let's get as much data as possible. So if they can get more people using it, I see ads not too far down the road.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people, they would be like, well, that sounds counterintuitive. How are we going to get it to grow if there's ads? But you bring up a good point about maybe brands will begin to use it more when there's an opportunity to advertise along with their organic content on it. I know not too long ago, it only launched here in July, but a couple months ago, they started allowing people to use the desktop version of Threads, which I think helped brands get in the game because so many brands use the desktop applications to update and to be able to post across multiple channels, et cetera. So I can't imagine ads are very far away. And will it give it a bump? Perhaps. We'll have to wait and see. Ian, another non-power user of Threads, what are you thinking?
I think when it launched, obviously earlier this year, we saw a real spike at the very, very start. There was a lot of hype behind it. It was in the news and everything, and there was a huge spike in users at the very, very start, but that fell off quite quickly. And I think at the moment it seems like it doesn't have a real reason to get people to come back. Log in every day, check it out every day, kind of thing, and that's what you really need for a social media platform. So I think that finding whatever that is for them to get people coming back, checking it every day, logging in every day, and not have that same drop off. We may see the same thing in Europe as we did everywhere else. It's already launched, which is a big spike at the start, but without that, they're just going to see the same fall off. I guess working out what that is and implementing it would be a great start for them.
Yeah. No, and yeah, you're right. I mean, it did have a big kick when it first got going here in July. And no, we got on it on day one because we'll get asked about it. We might as well be there to see what it's all about. And I'll open it periodically on my phone, but a lot of the accounts I enjoy following elsewhere aren't there. So, I would love to perhaps use it as an alternative to Twitter, but so much of the content I'm looking for isn't there right now. So what am I going to do? Sit there and hope it shows up? So yeah, I'm not sure what it's going to take in the long run, but it'll be interesting to watch. I think, like Duncan pointed out too, the idea of being a Twitter killer. I just don't think that's going to happen at this point. You kind of had your chance. You launched where you were attached to Instagram. Here comes the big launch, and you kind of took your shot, and nothing really happened from it. So I don't know if they have enough to be able to come back and really take it out. But at the same time, you don't have to be a Twitter killer. Go be your own thing and do good, and perhaps good things will happen. So we'll wait and see what happens with Threads. What's that?
I was just going to say, if their goal is to be a Twitter killer, just really lean into that. At the moment they're not achieving that goal either. So if that is what they're hoping to do, then start bringing back some of the features that Twitter have dropped over the years that people were sad to see go, things like that.
Yeah, it's still missing a lot of the key features that would allow it to be something that would really rival Twitter. I know in one of the other episodes we mentioned the hashtags. I did, posting on Threads the other day, I did experience the hashtag list or the hash list hashtag. And yeah, you are only allowed to use one, and it just shows up like a linked word, basically. But yeah, you're right. There are many features that there isn't enough there to entice a lot of people to go over to it. So who knows what will happen moving ahead.